Hi, in this video, we will see the basic syntax of pure data. Let's begin. Okay, so let's create a new patch and we're going to do this formula. So a plus 10 equals b. We can make this by creating a number box, creating a object plus 10, and then creating another number box. We connect the first one to the object and then the output of the object to the inlet of the next number box. Then we go into play mode and we move the number box and we can see the result and we can see that it concurs and it is working as expected. That's great. But what if we do this? A plus B equals C. How can we make that formula, right? So then we make another number box and we connect it to the second inlet of the operation. What happens? Well, when we go into play mode and we move the number box, we still get that plus 10. Why are we not getting 70 plus 0, right? Shouldn't it be 70 plus 0 because it has 0 there? Well, no, because technically I haven't moved the number box yet, so it hasn't sent anything yet, okay? But then when I move it, let's say to here, so 20, we also don't get nothing, right? 21, 70 plus 21, why is it still says 80, right? But then we move it, let's move it, right? And now we do get the result. Why is that? Well, for starters, that plus 10, it's what's called an argument. An argument is the initial value or state of an object. And this can be replaced by sending a value to the proper inlet, which in this case is this one, right? The one on the right. And that inlet is called the cold inlet. And the one on the left is called the hot inlet. This is because when we move the cold inlet, we're not getting anything. It's cold, right? And when we move the hot inlet, or we send something to the hot inlet, we do get results, right? So the hot inlet actually outputs the operation, right? While the cold inlet only stores the value for the next outcome. And this is helpful in different ways, but if we want to make the cold inlet behave like a hot inlet, then we would have to make a bang object and connect the cold inlet to the bang object. The number box to the bang object and the bang object to the hot inlet. That way, when we move the number box right here, we actually get results, right? So there we go. Now we get 70 plus 61, 131, right? It works. But there's a catch to this, and I will explain this in another patch. Say you want A plus A equals B, right? So we need we need two number boxes and we need a plus sign. Then we connect this number to the hot inlet and to the cold inlet, and then here. So that's the order in which I connected the number box to the object, right? First the hot inlet and then the cold inlet. But then I move this and it doesn't match. 28 plus 28 does not equal 55. Why is that? Well, that's because of the order in which I connected this. So this is essentially first outputting the process or the operation and then storing the value when it should be the other way around. First, I should connect the cold inlet and then I should connect the hot inlet. And that way, 33 plus 33, yeah, 66. So that way we actually get what we want. So what's going on here and how do we prevent from doing this type of errors? Well, there's an easy way, and that would be using trigger float float or trigger bang float or trigger bang float bang, etc. Basically, trigger abbreviated by a T and then by an F or a B if you're using bang or float, is basically sends sequence, there it says, sequence messages from right to left. So if we connect this over here and this over here, basically we're sending first the cold inlet and then the hot inlet. That's the way it works, right? So if we don't want to learn the order of connections, we can just use trigger. So in this case, instead of doing this, we would be using trigger bang float, because first we want to store the float to the cold inlet, and then we want to send a bang to the hot inlet. And that's the same thing that we had previously, right? So I believe that's pretty much it. These are really standard pieces of syntax and information for you to write proper code in Plug Data. So I hope you learned something, and we'll see you on the next video. Peace.